Okay, guys, the Lola Down episode, what is it, 8?
Whatever.
Here we have
No, I lost. I don't have any free reads left.
free reads. Oh, I got it here.
Oh, this is
So,
electric
okay,
podcasting.
so
All right,
this is a live podcast. We're rolling.
live reaction. Live reaction.
Live reactions.
The
So
bomb.
for anyone, do we want to inform anyone that's not been or has been living under a rock or necessarily doesn't really know what's going on in the sporting world?
Oh, here we go. No, I just found a free version of it.
Okay, so let's preface this though by informing all the nice people at home what's been going on with Dan Snyder, with the entire team, with everything kept in mind over the last, I think it's been like four or 5 days. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
So essentially what came out first after the whole name change debacle where FedEx demanded a name change following a lot of fans demanding a name change, Dan Snyder then got off his high horse that he's been on for the last couple of years and said, okay, if you guys really want us to change the name of the team, we're going to change the name of the team. So that was set in stone. Then I guess what can they be described as whistleblowers from the Virginia, Maryland area, somewhere around there?
Redskins teams employees, it looks like so far.
Right, yeah. Something along those lines linked or leaked a lot of stuff to the press, detailing cheerleaders in the past. And we've seen that with the whole Costa Rica debacle where a lot of cheerleaders were pimped out to Costa Rica. A lot of cheerleaders have been pimped out. There has been rampant drug use amongst the clubhouse, exclusively pretty much Dan Snyder. And that kind of created a culture around the team. There's been, I've heard some tip-offs to the referees and that the referees have totaled about $2 million in I guess, tip-off funds. There has been naked photo shoots with cheerleaders and with Dan Snyder. So a lot of stuff that kind of makes the team look unfavorable. And I'm sitting here with this article now from the Washington Post. And the Washington Post, for anyone that obviously doesn't know what we're talking about, said that they would drop the nuclear article, the article to end all articles, detailing the team's culture on the inside. So what I'm reading now, the headline that
the FBI, I did not find a free article. This is not an illegal article that I'm reading.
Yeah,
this
is
paid version, extremely legal. This is not somebody who copy and pasted it into their free blog looking for page views, which, by the way, is the ultimate business plan. This is not an illegal blog that I am reading. This is the paid version.
Yeah. Do you want to?
I found an illegal free one. I'm not going to read it word by word. So far, we just got a lot of sexual assault allegations.
Yeah, 15
against
women.
Snyder and a lot of his higher ups. No HR, they said. Never a reporting process.
So basically, everything was stifled and kept quiet.
This is like Francesa-esque, like just a lot of dead air, like just dead silence they're listening to or reading this. This is Francesa's show.
Yeah,
here.
I was gonna say, well, I can't read the thing because it's, I don't know why, but it's not letting me scroll. But it says from dream job to nightmare, more than a dozen women alleged sexual harassment and verbal abuse by former team employees at Redskins Park. Gerry, I think can you have the article up, right? Because I can't get to it.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
I mean, I'm not going to read it word for word, but so far it's
just give us some points. Give us some hot points.
Well, like I just said, like they say there's no HR, there's no reporting process. It's just a lot of like unwanted advances, a lot of like misconduct here, some sexual misconduct here from the male employees towards the female employees, and the female employees say that there's nowhere for them to go. I mean, who you can report to though if the owner is doing it to you?
You could report that, and that's giving me a lot of Doc Antle from Tiger King vibes. Is that all?
Oh, the play-by-play guy has been is cited in this. He resigned earlier this week, I guess.
Right. And, I guess he was jumping ship, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, there's some stuff in here about him too.
What he said? What happened?
I mean, I'm not gonna say it on air, but yeah, he made some comments.
I think if the Washington Post comments on it, I mean, we're not gonna look silly if, I mean, this is an official source. So if we quote this, it wouldn't blow up in our faces.
All
right, guys, I'm going to fill your ears while Gerry, reads, and he'll be able to fill us in a couple of seconds. You are listening to the Lola Down podcast. We're on the beat here. We're exposing the system. We're exposing the Jeffrey Epstein sex cult
All right. Well,
Pedophilic
so
ring.
essentially, here's what it is. So
Okay.
there's a lot of sexual misconduct. That's basically what the article is. It's
Right. Locker room culture.
basically, yeah. But I mean, it's bad, but
It's not
I'm
as
not
bad
going
as
to
everyone
say
was saying.
it's not like there are people saying that there's going to be drug and alcohol abuse and paying
Yeah.
off of officials and this,
Right.
that, and the other thing. Like it would force Dan Snyder to sell the team essentially. I don't know if that's exactly it. Again, I'm not saying it's underwhelming because it's bad, but at the same time, like,
Was it
it's
groping? Just sexual advances in
yeah.
general?
I
That's
mean, like, just I mean, like nothing like. But like, there was one point where they were like Jay Gruden and I forget the running back's name, but Jay Gruden, the starting running
oh yeah,
back,
in
was
the
sleeping with
bibs.
the same women,
Yeah.
and so Gruden got jealous and like petty and benched the kid, and then the kid's replacement missed a block,
Yeah.
and that block resulted in the sack that broke Alex Smith's leg. So I'm trying to like fix this like lighting.
Did you get that off Twitter? Because I remember seeing that off Twitter as well.
I did, yeah. That was on Twitter and like a notes thing. So I mean,
I don't
again,
know.
I don't want to call this underwhelming because it's not. It's very serious, but at the same time, like
It's kind of underwhelming. Because, dude,
it's
think
just
about it.
not nearly what was being reported.
That's what I'm saying. This is being paraded as this end all be all for the Washington Redskins and for the entire NFL. Like I watched Pat
This
McAfee
was
show
supposed to be
earlier.
a groundbreaking hit piece, and it
Right.
is.
This is not.
And it's
I mean,
sad to see, but like we
yeah.
were expecting something that we'd never heard before. Unfortunately, we've heard about this quite often. So
I'd be willing to bet that this goes on in other clubhouses as well.
absolutely, it
Yeah.
does. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, but figure it out. I mean, they're kind of a pile of trash down there, anyways. So
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, we can get into, I guess, with that the name change, um, and our
I can't believe it
reactions.
took this long
What's
for
that?
them to change the name. I can't believe it took them this
Yeah,
long to change the name. They've been being begged for 10 years, and I can't believe it took so long. And I also can't believe that he's actually going to change it because he held out for so long. I thought he was going to continue to hold out. This is not the first time in the last 10 years that there's been a civil rights
Yep.
movement.
Yep.
Black Lives Matter first really popped up like what, 5.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And he didn't change it 5.5 years ago. I mean, it's definitely stronger now than it was then, but it was pretty strong back then too. So I don't know, maybe because of the fact that because of coronavirus, the majority of the focus has been on one of two things, which has been this movement. So there really hasn't been much going around. So maybe the pressure was increased on him.
I think
But
so.
I honestly can't believe it took this long, and I can't believe that he actually caved.
Well, yeah, here's the thing with me is that this team, from what I've seen, has been synonymous with like you said, garbage and sadness. So if they change the name, it doesn't really bother me either way. I think just off of principle, like I love how the proponents for the name they cite sources like, oh, we polled this many Native Americans and they didn't seem to have a problem with it. But it's like, are you really gonna? Because I feel like in a way, if you have a poll, that's a remarkably inhuman way of getting people's responses to things. I think it would be better to, I mean, I can't think of it off top, but there's definitely better ways to gauge people's responses. And I think, honestly, it shouldn't matter if the team changes its name to, I've heard talk of, there's like the Red Tails based off of Army pilots that were Native American. There's other whisperings. Like I know you were talking about the Warriors or something else, or like the Bullets. I could, the thing is, it
No,
doesn't.
not the Bullets, not the Bullets. The Wizards got pushed out of the Bullets name.
Oh, I thought you were saying that they could like fill the vacant space with that, but
No,
it's kind of
because the Bullets was kind of like they were like, no, don't do that. Like the Wizards used to be the Bullets, and then
right. Yeah.
everybody pushed the Wizards to get rid of that name because it like implied violence. So I doubt that they would let another Washington team bring the Bullets back.
A lateral name change. One
Yeah, that
terrible
would be
name to
bad.
the other.
That would be. I know it wouldn't be as bad as the Redskins, but it would be bad.
It'd be a slightly lateral change. But
But I
anyway,
mean, like, they're not the only team out there. Like, the Indians are gonna change their name, but like the Atlanta Braves, like,
I don't think
or
because
Chicago Blackhawks,
here's
Florida
the
State
thing.
Seminoles. Although Florida State's gonna be able to keep their name because they pay the Seminole. I don't know if it's Seminole Nation or Seminole Tribe, whatever. They play them like pay them massive amounts of money
Yeah.
in order to keep that.
And
mascot.
also
Florida State would
Seminoles
never
were
have an issue,
Warriors.
but
Seminoles were Warriors. You have to take into account the fact that there's different
no, but
connotations.
it's more. I think the logo more than anything.
Yeah.
That like pisses people off about Florida State.
But the names too, like the Atlanta Braves, like the word brave has a good connotation on it. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but I
Like I
think
feel like
people are
that
more
plays something
upset
into
at
it.
like the
Yeah, the tomahawk chop.
second,
Yeah,
the tomahawk chop. There you go.
that's problematic. There's different stuff to it. There's definitely nuanced conversations to have. I just think with the Redskins, just change the name, dude. You know, if Dan Snyder gets kicked out of his
It's gonna be a
position,
good thing. Everybody has to buy new merch. You
right,
make
right,
money off of it. Everybody's
right,
gonna buy new merch.
yeah. So
If your jerseys are good, people are gonna buy your stuff. So it actually
right now,
probably
Washington's jerseys are terrible. I don't like the combination of yellow and red.
yeah, but they're classic, they're vintage.
Even off of that alone, I'd say change the name. But the name, like I said, to me has been synonymous with sadness and just underachievement. Like I can't remember. They made the postseason in 2015 and 2012. Those are the two most recent. And I think was it in 2012 where RG3 got injured?
It's 2012 when RG3 got injured, and then in
Yeah.
2015 they made it with like Kirk Cousins, and who the hell wants to attach
Yeah.
their wagon to that guy?
So that's the thing. Like you've just always this name has been it's been.
I mean, they won a Super
tainted.
Bowl in the 90s, but even like the Theismann incident where he like broke his leg, Alex
Yeah.
Smith incident, like
Yeah.
the point is, and I'm thinking like people are like, oh, he's gonna be forced to sell the team. Who wants to buy this team? The fan base hates them. They stink. They literally drafted their last two draft picks, Haskins and Young. Young was the right pick, but Haskins is up for debate. They literally only drafted Haskins because he's from Washington, D.C. Like, imagine that logic. Like Jay Gruden, the old coach, did not want to draft Dwayne Haskins. That's why he was so hesitant to go with him during the regular season because he didn't like him because he didn't want to pick him.
Was Gruden listed in the?
He was not mentioned in the article.
Not mentioned in the article.
Not once.
That's interesting. So it's only just basically Snyder,
the play-by-play guy, and a bunch of like higher up front office guys, finance guys, stuff like that.
Any were minority owners in there?
There were no minority owners.
So
by
okay,
minority owners, we don't mean owners that are minority. I think they mean more like
people that own like 14% of the team or less or something like that is
minority. Oh, yeah, that too. I was thinking more like that are in like minor markets. Like
it could be. I'm not sure, but so I guess a lot of the leaks on Twitter were false. Or maybe sensationalized a little bit.
Some of them were laughable though. Like, do you really think the Redskins have been paying officials $2 million a year to make calls?
To fix games when they lose.
Like, where are you getting that from?
Listen, lose us games and we'll pay you money for it.
Right. That was the most preposterous thing I've ever seen. But
yeah, that's where I was like, what?
I mean, bad. Clean it up.
Yeah,
this is something positive.
This could be a positive, right? Like you said, just get everything. If you find someone that would want to buy the team, I've heard rumors that what's his name, Bill Gates,
Bezos,
or not the guy, no, not Bill Gates,
Bezos
might swoop in and buy the team.
Bezos owns Washington Post, so that's why this is like the big thing too.
So listen, you get rid of
to buy the Mets.
You get rid of this team as it stands right now. Get rid of the name. Sell the team, just get Dan Snyder out of there, and you just restart. And maybe, like I said in my little all-in-all rundown video, maybe in 5 years with this new base you have, you'll be good. Who knows? But for me, what I've seen from the Redskins have always been sadness and just a pit of despair that we call a football team, and that's coming from a Giants fan.
Let's just be honest, though. There's no lower than the Redskins can possibly get right now. They're probably the most mismanaged franchise in the entirety of the NFL right now.
Yeah.
And it is a powerhouse group of mismanaged franchises. Like, it's not easy to get that title. Like, you got the Browns, who have been the laughingstock of all of sports for 20 years. And they're better run right now than the Redskins. The Jets.
That's right.
There's two teams in the division that are entirely mismanaged right now. Like, the Giants can't figure out what they're doing. The Cowboys haven't been able to get out of their own way in 20 years, and the Redskins are still the laughing stock there.
Yeah, the whole situation with Dak. Well, Dak, yeah.
The Jaguars are terribly run. Like, it's a disaster.
It is. It speaks to an entire organization of just poorly handled football and poorly internalized decision making. From the top down. Like, it's bad. It's bad.
It all starts from the top down. Poorly managed football, poorly managed everything. But if you want to talk about well-managed football, you could talk about the 2017 draft and the Kansas City Chiefs trading up to get Patrick Mahomes at the number 10 pick. That's well-managed football.
All right. Great. Jerry, I love that you're bringing these fire transitions. All right, Pat Mahomes recently. I already know what to do when you do that. It's like, lob, finish. Okay. So basically, for anyone that doesn't know, the largest contract in sports history, 10 years, $503 million on the line, 477 million of those dollars are guaranteed through some sort of a system. And if it's not met, Pat Mahomes has an option to, I think it's
Get out.
escape the contract. Right. So biggest contract in sports history, biggest contract, obviously, a quarterback has ever signed.
And first time ever that an NFL player has been the highest paid player in American sports. It usually goes to baseball players or basketball players.
Yeah.
Now,
So
Patrick Mahomes owns that title for the time being until like Mookie Betts or somebody goes out and gets his $500 million deal. But
so this is really just a groundbreaking deal. I think the ball is 100% in Pat Mahomes' court right now. The only issue I have with this entire deal is how the Chiefs are going to handle the cap and signing other players.
I think it's somewhat attached to the salary cap too, like percentage wise. Like they're projecting it's going to come out to 10 years, 500 mil. But I think he, in the end, gets like a portion of this, like I thought I saw something somewhere where it's like he gets like this percent of the salary cap.
I think so. I think it's
to be worth 500 million.
Are you talking about the team's cap?
1,000% wrong though. I'm sorry if I got that wrong.
No, I remember. I think I remember hearing something about that he eats up a considerable amount. I know the percentage. I just can't think of it off top of the team's salary cap. And he keeps like through the 10 years, he eats up more and more and more. Because I checked the salary page for NFL, and oh boy. So that my only real issue with this is that most of the star talent that isn't Pat Mahomes on that team, their contracts expire and they go into free agency in 2022 or 2021. I don't know what the Chiefs are going to do after that with as little money as they. Well, I mean, I don't want to say they have not a laughable amount of money after that, but it's going to be significantly harder to sign talent after that with how much money they're paying this guy.
Well, my thing is when you look at Mahomes, it's like, what else does he have to prove? He's won an MVP. He's thrown 50 touchdowns in a season. He's won a Super Bowl. He's signed this mega deal. So now what's next? And the answer is very clear. You know, he's got like the only thing he has left to do at age 24, 25, 2 years in his starting career, 3 years total in his career. The only thing he has left to do is catch Brady, right?
Yeah.
I question as to whether or not, and again, I'm not blaming Mahomes on signing this deal because when the Chiefs push you, literally probably just gave him a blank check and said, write down whatever you want on it. That seems to be what happened here.
Yeah.
Where, like, how are you, like, you know, how are they going to spend the rest of the money? Kind of what you're saying, like, you know, these contracts are going to expire in a few years. And, you know, when Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, I mean, they're in the prime of their career, but wide receivers and tight ends don't last as long as quarterbacks do. So they're going to be on the downside within a couple of years. They drafted Mecole Hardman last year. They drafted running back this year. So offensively, they should be fine for, you know, to embrace those blows in a few years. But like, you know, Kelce and Hill are both among the best of their position. When they go down and 100%. These guys step up, but like, are you going to have to continue to just hope you nail every single draft pick? Because they've done a great job at the last few years. But at some point, you know, you miss one, you miss two. Like even the Patriots miss draft picks every once in a while. Yeah. So the one thing that made the Patriots dynasty so strong and so sustainable is that nobody, including Tom Brady, ever took contracts like these. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing for players to take contracts like these, but the reason that Tom Brady has 6 Super Bowls and the reason that Tom Brady always had great players around him is because Tom Brady was never the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah.
So, you know, the reason that he was able to have Randy Moss and Wes Welker and Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman and you know, every star player other than that around him was because he was never making that much money.
Right. You're right. I wanted to take a look at this too in the eyes of like the quarterback or switching the view towards the quarterback, right? When you have a guy like Pat Mahomes, who is definitely, like you said, worth the $500 million. You might not nail every draft class. And this is, I'm going to play devil's advocate to myself for a second here. He might, you know, if you're the Pats, if you're the Chiefs organization, you might not be able to nail every single draft class. But if you have a guy like Pat Mahomes that's tossing the football, you might not need to. That being said, it's going to be harder when you have a lot of teams in the NFL that are talented all around. You know what I'm saying? They have wide receiver threats. They have really good defenses. They have other great quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson. Does Pat Mahomes sticking around till he's 35, which is another kind of problem I had. He's going to be pretty old by the time his contract expires.
Yeah,
10
but
years.
35 for a quarterback isn't what it used to be. I mean, Brady's still playing at a high. I mean, a lot of the better quarterbacks in the league are up there in age. I mean, I'm
That's
like
true,
age
too.
for a quarterback, like because of all the rules now, like you can last in your late 30s, early 40s. Like the Tom Brady model is going to become the norm. Like he's the first guy to be able to play it to this level in his 40s, but like Drew Brees is doing it, Aaron Rodgers will do it, Patrick Mahomes will do it. Like if you're not running around like Cam Newton or Lamar Jackson, if you're like able to kind of keep yourself from getting hit, I mean Mahomes can move out of the pocket, but obviously his number one thing is that he's a great passer and he's pretty smart. I mean, he did get injured this year, but overall he's pretty smart about taking hits. I think he's going to be one of these guys that's going to last like well into his 30s.
Well, that's also another thing, too, is the intangibles that come with this contract. Say he gets injured, like say something terrible happens to him and he can't play. Like, what does that entail? That's literally the only thing I have. The only problem I have with this contract is just the intangibles and wherever else they're going to allot their funds. That's it. That's
it's something they had to do, though. Both sides had to do it because Patrick Mahomes, you're stupid for turning down a contract like this. And for the Chiefs, you're stupid to think somebody else isn't going to offer this. And you're also stupid to think that you're going to get somebody better than this guy. He's undeniably the best quarterback in the league right now. He's undeniably the face of the league right now. He's undeniably the best player across all of football right now. If you ask any team if they wanted one player, it would be Patrick Mahomes without a doubt. But that being said, like it's, I mean, you know, we're nitpicking here because, you know, you have to find a negative somewhere. Like that's what we have to do here. But like in reality, it's something both sides had to do. It was something I was happy to see. Like I don't want like, you know, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to be stuck in this Dak Prescott, like, you know, contract negotiation. He got his money. He's well worth the money. He's like the only guy worth that money. Dak Prescott is not worth that money. Dak Prescott thinks he's going to up the Mahomes contract. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Mike Trout's contract in baseball. It's probably a contract that won't be, you know,
for a while, you think?
With for a while. And rightfully so, because both Mike Trout and Pat Mahomes are well above the rest.
Yeah, no, I'm not disputing his contract. Well, I guess I am, but I'm not saying he's not worth the money, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm just saying that
it's just like, all right, well, now what are you going to do with the rest of it?
Right. There's some caveats that come with that. Yeah. I think it was something crazy, like 25% or 50% of the total. It must have been 25.
I'd say closer to 25.
Yeah, 25%.
Because he's making what, like $40-something million a year? Like that's
that's sizable. That's sizable. That's like probably what Dak's gonna get over the course of a certain amount of years.
I think Dak will sniff 40, but I don't think he's gonna get like mid 40s like Mahomes.
No, I mean because he's not worth it.
Dak Prescott's like an above. Dak Prescott's a good enough quarterback to win, but to win you games and get you into the playoffs, but you need to have the right pieces around you. Like he's not Patrick Mahomes, he's not Lamar Jackson, he's not Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. Like he's
also had talent around him and he hasn't been able to get it done.
Yeah, I mean Dak Prescott's a fine quarterback. Like if he's your quarterback, you're in an okay spot. Like you know, you don't
bang average.
Yeah, you don't have like I don't know, like Brian Hoyer or something like there. Like you're good. You're fine. You're solid B minus.
A solid B minus.
Just above average.
Okay. Well, I guess if we talking quarterbacks, we can get into Cam Newton to the Patriots. Gerry, since you're the Patriots fan of this podcast, I will allow you the first take on this subject. Go ahead.
I said at the beginning of the offseason, I have multiple people that listen to this podcast that can quote me. I wanted 3 possible starting quarterbacks at the beginning of the season. I wouldn't have taken anybody but these 3. Teddy Bridgewater, not here. Jarrett Stidham is here. Cam Newton is here. I didn't want Phillip Rivers. I didn't want Jameis Winston. I didn't want Andy Dalton. I didn't want any of these guys. I wanted Teddy Bridgewater, Jarrett Stidham, or Cam Newton. I got 2 of the 3, so I'm fine with it.
And you got Cam Newton on a budget.
Yeah.
You got him on a deal.
So it's a low risk, high reward deal. Like if he plays well, like he's going to hit those incentives, which is fine. Right. And you know, if he plays well, you have a former MVP at quarterback to replace Tom Brady. I mean, obviously you'd probably rather Tom Brady than Cam Newton, but in the end,
Cam Newton's great,
you know, and if Cam Newton, I mean, be honest here, Cam Newton though when Cam Newton has played, which last year really didn't happen, and the year before it did, when Cam Newton has played, he has not been healthy, and he has not been good the last 2 or 3 years. He has not been good. The Panthers haven't been good. Like, he hasn't been good. The Cam Newton that won the MVP in 2015 is not the Cam Newton that the Patriots signed a couple weeks ago. That being said, you can't lose from this deal. Like,
Also, we don't know what he's capable of yet. This could be
yeah,
a completely different Cam Newton.
you spent zero money, so who cares? If
That's
he
the most.
stinks,
This is the most
then
Bill
cut him.
Belichick signing on the planet. That's such a Bill Belichick thing to do, to figure out a way to just like.
It's the same thing with Antonio Brown. It made so much sense. It was like unbelievable. That being said, everybody that is handing the starting job to Cam Newton, you like the way the Patriots like rave about Jarrett Stidham, like you would have think they drafted him in the top 10. Like,
Well, I was going to ask
he
you.
has a legit chance. Like, I hate when people that don't pay attention say that Cam Newton is undeniably. Cam Newton probably will start week 1. He probably will. That being said, there is a quarterback competition. Jarrett Stidham
Right.
did not just roll over and die. Like, he still will be competing for the starting job. And if Cam Newton beats him out, great. And if Jarrett Stidham beats him out, great. I would rather the best quarterback in the end, but I don't know who's better. If Cam Newton is healthy, it's going to be Cam Newton. But if Cam Newton plays like he has the last 2 years, it's not going to be Cam Newton. It's that simple.
Well, also, I think
Stidham will be here longer than Cam Newton. So if Jarrett Stidham is as good, if not better than Cam Newton, Bill Belichick will go with Jarrett Stidham because it's best for now and it's best for the future.
Well, that's what I also wanted to ask is, do you, as Bill Belichick, start Stidham and play maybe necessarily? I mean, I know a lot of people have been heaping praise on him, but he's still a rookie. Well, he's not a rookie quarterback, but he doesn't have a lot of experience. What's that?
First-year starter.
First-year starter, right. He doesn't have a lot of experience on the field, right? Do you start him and play the long game and let him get experience, or do you play Cam? Now, obviously, most would say you play Cam because you're in a division, or you're in a division where it's not necessarily.
It's winnable.
It's winnable. I don't want to say it's not competition because at the end of the day,
there's some good teams, but the Patriots are one
right.
of them.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're still in the mix there. So do you start Cam Newton, or do you see what Jarrett Stidham can do? Like you said, I think you start Cam Newton week 1. That's a testing week. You feel out the waters, and then you just take it from there. I have full.
I say whoever starts week 1 is going to be the guy going forward. I don't think it's a start Cam and test the waters. I think whoever starts week 1 is the better quarterback. Everybody that thinks the Patriots are tanking, they're not. Like, they're
I didn't
not
say they were tanking.
They won.
Don't get me wrong.
No, I know. I'm not saying you did, but there's a lot of people out there. They won 12 games last year with a bad offense. Like,
well, that's always been that's always been
what?
That's always been the whole shtick around the Patriots. Remember, we were talking about that on radio. It's like they'll win one week and they'll be the most dominant team in their conference, and then the next week it's like, is the dynasty over? That's how it always been.
They won 12 games. They should have won 13. They blew a game in Miami. They blew a game at home against Miami that they should have won. They'd win that game 99 times out of 100, and they lost the one time. If they won that game against Miami, they're 13-3, and Kansas City is the one playing on Wild Card Weekend, and then the one coming to Gillette. And it's tough to win in Gillette in the playoffs. So if the Patriots win that game in Miami, who knows where we are against Miami? Who knows where we are right now? But you can't play the what-if game all day. But the point is, the Patriots were not bad last year. They didn't have a good offense. Tom Brady, it was not his fault, but in years past, Tom Brady would have been able to get through that. He is not the same Tom Brady he was, which Tampa will be a good fit because he has guys around him. But in the past, he would have been able to get through it. He wasn't. So how much of a downgrade is it from Tom Brady to Cam Newton or Jarrett Stidham when in reality your defense was winning your games last year anyways, and you get a lot of the same pieces returning. You get Gilmore, who's probably one of, if not the best defensive players in the NFL, along with Aaron Donald. You get Hightower, your captain, your linebacker. You get McCourty, who's the leader, and your safety. Like, you're still returning your pieces. The Patriots are a good team. They're not tanking. So if Jarrett Stidham starts week 1, it's not the Patriots being like, we'd rather, have him ready for 2 years from now. If Jarrett Stidham is starting week 1, it's because Jarrett Stidham is better than Cam Newton. It's not because, it's Belichick's guy or whatever. Like, if Jarrett Stidham is starting week 1, it's because he showed the Patriots that he can provide more right now to win the division and win in the playoffs right now more than Cam Newton.
I have trust in Bill Belichick.
Is the better quarterback. And they're both Auburn guys.
I have trust in Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick will know what to do.
The Patriots will be good this year. Edelman will be back healthy. N'Keal Harry will be back healthy, the first-round draft pick wide receiver. They drafted 2 tight ends. Sony Michel and James White will both be back healthy. Health was a big issue for David Andrews, the center, will be back healthy. He didn't play one game last year because of blood clots. They'll be back healthy. They're getting a lot of guys back this year. I honestly think that the Patriots are right now the most overlooked team in the division in the AFC, because I think a lot of people are writing them off when, they're a team that's still going to be, and if Cam Newton plays
let's say let's just say for argument's sake that he plays like his MVP season. What happens then?
The Patriots are up there with the Ravens and the Chiefs again. It's that simple. Even if he plays to 75% of what he used to be, it's better than Jarrett Stidham, and the Patriots will be good. And if Jarrett Stidham or Cam Newton, if Jarrett Stidham comes in, the Patriots might not be the Chiefs or the Ravens, but they'll be good. They'll be a playoff team. They'll be right there with Buffalo and Pittsburgh and Tennessee.
We'll see though. We'll
second tier teams. The Patriots are still a playoff team no matter who they go with.
Well, my question will come when they hit the playoffs, because then that's when you start getting with the big fish. You know what I mean? The bigger fish.
We'll see if we even have a season.
Yeah, that's true too. Well, do you want to get into a little bit more football for the episode? Desean Jackson, his comments recently, and then Nick Cannon also. We could get into a little bit of that because he kind of Nick Cannon really said it more blatantly and out in the open, but Desean Jackson, I'd say, was more.
That was just.
Is egregious a word to describe it?
I mean, it was just. I mean,
at the least, here's my thing. Here's my thing.
He was basically like, Hitler wasn't a bad guy.
I don't know. Well, okay, here's the thing. There's a difference between quoting Hitler, and this is going to sound absolutely insane upon first hearing this. There's a difference between quoting Hitler and singing Hitler's praises. It's a small marginal difference, but either way, if you're quoting Hitler and he came out after the fact, I guess should we explain this for people listening that don't know?
Everybody knows at this point. He shared anti-Semitic post on his Instagram page.
Right. Saying that Jewish Americans there was a plot to upend the African American community, and he quoted wrongfully, but still what he thought to have been a Hitler quote. And later he kind of backpedaled a little bit. He took out all the text except the message that he wanted to convey, and said that he was really just trying to explain that if the African American community banded together, that they'd be stronger than the system of oppression that befalls them every single day. Which, okay, so I'm going to give him for a second the benefit of the doubt, right? Because I want to try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. At the least, that is one of the most dumb things that I've heard anyone. Because here's the thing about Hitler, right? Here's the thing about Hitler. You can't, if you say anything, right? Any quote online. If I say, hey, listen, this year the Lakers are going to go all the way and win the chip, but it'll be with an asterisk, and then I have something about Hitler, everything becomes invalidated above that. And then the entire thing is just going to be Hitler. Or say if I have some sort of a quote that, is super uplifting or sunny or shiny, and I attribute it to Hitler, it's still a quote to Hitler. Having something that you want to use to uplift the community and having Hitler in the same sentence is an oxymoron. It's night and day. It's contrast, and you can't have that in the same sentence. So, listen, maybe he's not anti-Semitic, right? Because I don't want to jump the gun, and it seems like he's been doing a lot in the past couple of weeks or the last week or so. I know he's going to Auschwitz, and he's and then your boy Edelman is taking him to the Holocaust Museum. So that's good.
Also going to an African American History Museum after that.
So right.
Education Day for both.
So he's taking steps, right? So I do applaud him for that. The thing is, you can't. I don't know. And let me know if you feel the same way, Jerry. I feel like a lot of people are letting it slide that he kind of, and they're sidestepping the fact, they're saying that it's what you said was so stupid, and it only hurts the movement that we're trying to build up, which they're correct on. They would be correct. Same thing could be said with Steven Jackson coming out and defending him, which we'll get into in a second. My thing is, nobody, I don't think, is talking enough about the fact that he quoted Hitler.
Well, as somebody who is openly Jewish, how does this make you feel?
Well, when I first saw it, Jerry, I'm not going to lie to you, I was extremely angry. And I try not to get angry instantaneously with things, because I feel like as podcasters, as media majors, as potential journalists, we can't let anger cloud our judgments, and we have to look for other sides to certain stories and remain objective. So I did that over the course of the day. And sadly, the only thing I could find on the subject, or the only caveat I could give Desean Jackson in this situation, is that looking at it through his lens, if you're trying to help the community and you honestly really don't have an anti-Semitic bone in your body, it's still remarkably tone deaf to include Hitler in an Instagram post. That's my whole thing. You shouldn't, let's just rule of thumb, right? Don't ever include Hitler in an Instagram post, in an anything post. Unless you're a neo-Nazi and it's on your neo-Nazi little Facebook group where you have, death to all Jews. I can't help those people, right? But if you're, like Desean Jackson says, if he's not anti-Semitic and he doesn't have a hateful bone in his body, you can't be posting that. That's my thing.
I don't hate the logic of that.
I like, and the guy, he looks up to Louis Farrakhan. Fine. If you're part of the Nation of Islam, that's fine. I'm not going to take your beliefs away from you, because, that'd be ridiculous, because everyone is entitled to their beliefs. But let's call a spade a spade.
Hitler is bad.
Hitler is bad.
When you do your like little quote box for the podcast, like just put Hitler is bad, Jerry Sullivan.
Hitler is, but yeah, listen. We might clip this, and then that's going to be
Hitler is bad. Hitler is bad. Like, don't do it. I'm serious. Like, I'm not even like joking. I'm like serious. Like,
I'm not joking either. I don't think anyone was joking about Hitler.
Like, don't.
What did you think? Do you think that was him? Do you think that was just remarkably tone deaf, and you think he needed more time?
I think he just messed up. Like, I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I'm an optimist. I like to believe that nobody is like. I mean, not nobody. Like, if like you said, if you're like a neo-Nazi or like in the KKK or something, like, okay, you're knowingly. But I like to believe that, guys like Desean Jackson or Nick Cannon or, with or like, like some of these guys, I like to believe that, people are good and that sometimes you just make a mistake. Yeah. And you say something you shouldn't. We've all said something we shouldn't say. I've said something I shouldn't say.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you just make a mistake and you got to own up to it. And listen, what he said was bad, but, clearly he was misguided when it comes to information. And I think, honestly, what there's nothing that he can do that will ever, make, like, a lot of people are not going to forget this. But I mean, what he's doing to this point, I mean, there's not much more you can do.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. I'm glad he's taking steps. He's walking.
But like at the same time, like I don't really know how a lot of people are going to feel because I'm not in the group. I'm not.
There's a lot of higher ups in the
kind of attacked. So
there's a lot of higher ups in the Eagles organization that are Jewish, and I've heard that there are a lot of also Eagles fans that are Jewish. Like, that's a big thing. I'm not sure. I know personally a lot of people that are Jewish and are Eagles fans, and a lot of them are really angry. I tend to, like I said, I think we're both good at that, Jerry. I think we both like to, and especially now in these times, like if you are the person that preaches, we need to give everyone a fair shake and let them explain themselves. You need to, no matter, like, this is not a politics thing. This is a humanity thing. If someone messes up, they should have, I'd say, a good shot at explaining themselves. Okay.
Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
No, I was going to say, even if it's, and it pains me to say this, and anyone that's listening, don't think I'm sympathizing with this guy. But we should, before prosecuting, give everyone a chance to explain themselves. That's, I think, how it should work. Now, there are some things I'd give you that where it's like, okay, if you spray into a crowd of people with an automatic rifle, that's right. Something where you probably don't need an explanation for that. But if it's a social media post, and I heard it was wrongly attributed, though I think he wrongly attributed to Hitler and it was from something else. It's just I'm struggling to I'm trying to give this guy a fair shake. So, that's my thing.
I just like to believe, but again, like I'm not in the group that he was going after, so it's easy for me to think like this, and it's easy, a lot of people in a lot of different things, but like, there's been a lot of like people over the last couple of months. I mean, we talked about it on the last one with Jimmy Kimmel and Howard Stern, like, and those cases are a little bit different than this, but like, because both of them kind of like didn't really want to apologize at first. Like, it's a little different, but like Desean Jackson seemed to sincerely feel as though after the fact he realized it was wrong,
Right.
and he's gonna visit Auschwitz, and he's gonna do the thing with Julian Edelman where they're gonna educate each other on
that's dope.
their struggle. And I don't know, like I think everything he's done, and I mean, Nick Cannon, this all just kind of came out, so he hasn't really had the opportunity to do anything yet.
He did get canceled hard. He got fired.
But I like to believe that, and I'm not, entirely updated on Nick Cannon's case, but I like to believe in Desean Jackson's case that he if he realized after the fact, like if he knew what was going to happen after the fact, like if he realized like the amount of like people he was going to hurt and like the actual message that he's portraying, I guarantee you he wouldn't have.
Yeah, I don't know how someone can quote Hitler like that. Like, in what world do you think that's a good idea? That's my only thing.
He wasn't thinking, and apparently this isn't the first. I don't know if this is the first. I don't think this is the first time he's quoted. He quoted the one of the leaders from the Middle East too. That's like anti-Semitic. Yeah. And
widely known to be anti-Semitic.
He's done that before, so I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me being overly optimistic, but I truly don't think he was trying to be a bad guy. But again, it's easy for me to, and if people don't want to forgive them, then that's completely their prerogative, and I'm not going to shame them on that.
Right. I like what you said, Jerry. I think we need to fall under this universal code. Everyone's subject to it, or everyone's not.
I think your input here is more valuable than mine, because
no, I just think like I think we share the same sentiment, Jerry. You know what I mean? Like, even though I am a Jewish man, and at first I was like really angry, the more I looked into it, and the more I kind of used my compassion and my critical thinking, the more I kind of came to the stance that you're sitting with now, where it's like, maybe there's a margin where this guy didn't really know what he was talking about, or maybe, but like, here's the thing, like if you're under the Nation of Islam, this is my other thing with this, is that there has been a long history of the Nation of Islam not really getting along with Jewish people that well and being anti-Semitic.
There's definitely some conflict between the two.
Right. I'm not taking anything away from people that are part of the Nation of Islam, because like I said, everyone's convictions are their convictions. I'm not taking that away. I don't know what to make of the situation. But I think, like you said, he's taken steps. So that for me was the catalyst. And I put something out on Instagram. I'm sure you saw my story. And I said, good for him, man. Like, he's taking steps. He's getting educated. I think nowadays, I don't think cancel culture of any kind, like, I don't think, and this goes to everyone. This is not me being like, no, we can't cancel, only, everyone only cancels people they like or whatever, or they dislike. No, I think cancel culture shouldn't be a thing until we see what the person has done after the fact. I've been an advocate of that. Like, how they react should warrant whether or not they receive punishment, not just what they did a long time ago or even recently. And that's me saying that as a Jewish person.
That's the same thing. Like, I am uncomfortable canceling people over something that they might truly be sorry for. Like, Desean Jackson's already done it. If Nick Cannon comes out tomorrow and says, I'm sorry, and does everything that Desean Jackson is doing to make up for what he said, like, I'm not for canceling Nick Cannon either, because like, I genuinely don't think that, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think these two are bad guys. More Jackson than Cannon. I don't think Jackson really knew what he would, like, the connotations behind what he was saying. Nick Cannon might have, but I don't know if Desean Jackson did. But, I mean, it's just a wait and see thing. If if one of them came out and said tomorrow, like, no, I was right, like, I hate Jewish people, then I'm like, yeah, cancel
Then
these guys.
that's like, all right.
But
Get 'em out.
like, if they come out and do everything they're supposed to do and educate themselves and become better people out of it, then I don't think there's a reason to cancel Desean
Right.
Jackson.
Right. And that
By football season, I don't think that people will be thinking the same way about Desean Jackson as they do right now on July 16th.
He'll make a couple catches. It'll be all right.
No, I don't mean it that way. I just mean
No.
I think by then, like, all will be forgiven.
Yeah, I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. I understand what Jerry said.
I hope anyways.
But yeah, I think let's get into real quick. Steven Jackson. It messes me up. They have the last name, the same last name. Him defending him. What was your take?
That was just wildly insane. I saw that. All I can say is, he apologized for it after too, but like, all I could say was like, when I saw that, I was like, ooh, man, no, read the room. Like, no, no.
Very tone deaf.
I was like, man, listen, I know what you're trying to do, but this is not I know you're trying to, I know his podcast is like, they're unfiltered and all that. I'm like, this is not the hill to die on, man.
Well, I think more what he was kind of saying was that there was that whole situation with Riley Cooper where he yelled a racial slur and he received like a very light punishment.
Yeah.
And then he got extended for 3 years.
They wildly messed that one up. But just because they messed that one up doesn't mean that, like, this is wrong. But, like, what Riley Cooper did was terrible too. Yeah. Like, that opposite of Desean Jackson, because I genuinely think that Riley Cooper's a bad dude. So
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, maybe
he didn't do anything to make up for it. Like, he yelled a racial slur at a black player and didn't do anything to make up for it. So I genuinely think that Riley Cooper's a bad dude. At
the moment, Desean Jackson has done more than Riley Cooper.
So I genuinely don't think that Desean Jackson is a bad dude.
So thinking more about it, Steven Jackson would have a point there. But the thing is, like, he said that also. I think part of his defense was that, again, Desean Jackson didn't really know what he was talking about. But again, it falls into the same thing where I saw Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp said the same thing, where it's like, because Steven Jackson has built up this movement. He's built this platform, and that's basically what both gentlemen
Barnes in their HBO podcast or something like that.
What's that?
Because he's with Matt Barnes on that HBO podcast, right?
Yeah. I think it's a Showtime podcast, but wild that Showtime.
Oh, whatever, same thing.
Wild that Showtime has a podcast all in itself. But I think what both men were getting at is, like, you have this platform, and Desean Jackson saying this will anger a lot of people that are higher up, and it'll only hurt the cause, which, yeah, sure. That's also a valid argument. That is something that you need to take into consideration if you're Desean Jackson, because a lot of people now will use that for fire. They'll use that for ammunition and say, like, look, this is a Jew hater, or da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That could be used. But again, I think not enough people, and this is my personal opinion, reference the fact that he quoted Hitler. You know what I mean? Like, it's mind-blowing that he quoted a dude that murdered millions of people, and everyone was just like, yeah, but you know what? You need to do more. Like, right. Like, I guess I don't want to sound like salty, because I'm not even necessarily angry anymore, but like,
but you have the right to be.
Worrying me that like not that many people were more worried about that. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, you need to be more careful about what you say, especially now with tension so high. But in general, you need to be careful about what you say. You need to think about words before you say it. We now live, and rightfully so, we now need to live in a time where you need to look at what you're about to say and say, is this wrong? Should I say this? Like, should I not say this? Like, is there something wrong with what I'm about to say right now? Will somebody somewhere get angry and offended? I'm not talking about like some crazy Karen or something like that. Like, a reasonable person finds something wrong with what I'm about to say. And if the answer is yes, probably shouldn't say it.
Yeah. And it's harder on air, like we do here with
because it's spur of the moment. You don't have that time to think about that. But with social media,
you have like time to sit over. Yeah.
Like, you have all the time in the world to not post that. So you need to be careful. Like the Dwight Schrute logic of it. Like, before I do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And then if the answer is yes, I don't do that thing.
Yeah. I know.
Would a racist post this? Oh, he would? Probably shouldn't post it. When anti-Semitic person say this, oh, he would? Probably shouldn't say it.
And even if you are, like, let's say for a second, I'm going to play the other side of the floor too. Let's say he is anti-Semitic, right? It's dumb. And I'm not saying he is anti-Semitic, but if you're playing the hypothetical reality where he might be, okay? It's also remarkably dumb to play your hand like that and to quote Hitler. Even if it's something you believe in, you go, like, usually we see with a lot of racist people or like anti-Semitic people, they keep it to themselves.
Yeah, that's the thing is like when you're openly quoting Hitler, it's like I think everybody kind of has a common understanding
That it's like
that
no go, no bueno.
no good, very
Yeah,
bad.
Hitler, no.
Hitler is bad.
Hitler is bad. That's gonna be. No, I can't. I can't name the podcast. Well, I probably could actually.
No, I wouldn't name that podcast. I wouldn't name that podcast. That'd be like something you could really throw on your resume.
That the Lola Down
I
podcast,
produced
episode 8.
the Hitler is bad podcast. Oh, what's
You
that
looking
about?
up Hitler is bad podcast?
No, like you know, like you're in a job interview. It's like it says here that in the past you produced a Hitler is bad podcast. What's that about? You're like, oh yeah, well, kind of
Just fire back with,
self-explanatory, isn't it?
yeah. You just fire back with, hey, listen, I'm Jewish.
Fair enough.
You
You're
know what I mean?
hired.
And then they'll be like, all right, but I guess moral of the story is, if nothing else, you got to think now, especially now, like you said, Jerry. Actually, you know what? I do have one more question that I think would be a really good open dialogue type of thing to end off the podcast. But I think if you're talking about right now, like let's just say within this year, maybe even like 2 to 3 years, because we've seen kind of this movement, whether it be in different forms, get spurred up over the last few years. You need to think about the stuff you say. Like you say, don't, if something sounds really tone deaf or insensitive, you need to think about it before you post it. And you need to be extra careful. Like you said, when we do this, like we have to be careful. We've had conversations in the past where it's like, oh, should we include that with the whole Crystalia situation, which we never got on air. But it's like you can't crack jokes at certain things.
If something is gonna come across as sexist or racist or homophobic or anti-Semitic or whatever, and you know, consider the context too. Like if you're doing a stand-up routine and you know, it's one thing versus like, but like, you know what I mean? Like you know, you need to find the right way to say it at those times. But like, because you know, I mean, actually today it might be off limits, but in general, like if you're in a context where something you're going to say might come off as inappropriate for any reason, whether it be racist, sexist, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't. Like if you're Desean Jackson, like read the room. Probably not a great time to be quoting Hitler right now. So don't do it. Just don't. It's very easy to just not hit post.
Yeah. Especially in the fact that
I'm very for using social media to broadcast your movement.
Yeah.
Whatever you feel passionate about, use your social media for, because that's your page. Do what you want with it. But, you know, keep it respectful.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep it above board. I was going to ask real quick before we end off the podcast, do you think that same sentiment extends to clips found from 4 years ago? Do you think that same rule applies where it's like, even because like I'll draw to mind the Barstool situation for anyone that doesn't understand what we're talking about. There was a situation in which Dave Portnoy on a rundown from 4 years ago or something like that.
It was right around when the Kaepernick kneeling thing was coming out, but originally he was sitting on the bench. He wasn't kneeling.
Yeah.
And like he basically said like Kaepernick, like he couldn't figure out what race he was. He looked like a terrorist because he had the afro going. Like he looked like Bin Laden. It was bad. It was cringy. It was not funny.
Yeah.
It depends. What he's doing is just wildly wrong. Like him refusing to acknowledge that he was wrong or apologize for what is wrong. Like if he came out and said like we missed the mark, that we thought it was funny at the time, we were dead wrong. We're bigger now. Like we wouldn't do that today. We're bigger now than we are then. Like we learned from this. Then it'd be fine. But like you're not fine per se. But like he'd be better off than what he's doing right now, which is essentially like taking a stand against the mob and you know like. People that are like out here canceling everything suck, but at the same time, like if you're not going to apologize for something you're so clearly wrong for, like calling Kaepernick a terrorist, that rule applies. Like it doesn't matter if it's from 4 years ago because clearly you haven't grown from it. So
he really hasn't. I was going to say he's handled this remarkably badly, really terribly.
If he came out and said, "I was wrong. We missed the mark. We're a comedy site. We try to make things funny. We walk the line a lot. We cross it all the time. We crossed the line, way over the line here. We wouldn't do that today because we've learned from it and moved on from it,
Yeah.
and we're bigger than then, it wouldn't be okay, but like
It'd be
he would
less.
hold it over his head
Right.
because
Right.
he said, "I'm sorry."
That's what
But
people in his company have done. That's what Big Cat
yes,
did.
he's
That's
literally the only
literally
one.
what Big
He's
Cat
literally the
said
only
over the
one.
radio.
He literally is the only one.
I don't know what's up with like Portnoy.
But yeah,
Like
like clips from 4 years ago. 4 years ago is a little recent, but like 10, 15 years ago, even like Steve Carell says all the time, The Office is a show that would never be run today because there's too many jokes that attack groups that were appropriate 10, 15 years ago that would not be
not
deemed
fly.
appropriate today.
Yeah.
And in the context of 10, 15 years ago, it was fine. But, today it doesn't fly anymore. So,
The no-fly zone.
he said it's not a show that would fly today anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I think, like you said, it's
Different time.
definitely, it's different jokes are different, are applicable to different times. And going forward from that, even to take a step further, certain jokes like Dave Portnoy's joke wasn't funny back then either.
No, it
There were
wasn't
certain
funny
jokes
back
that
then.
were funny, but get put in question now. And, some jokes that are funny can also be offensive.
I mean,
But like, if you're going to
there's
make a joke about a guy looking like a terrorist, you better make it funny at the least, or just don't say it.
there's a stand-up routine from Eddie Murphy that was on Netflix. Like we watched it in our room this year, where it's like,
Yeah.
he's cracking jokes and he says like the F word slur, like in reference to gay people.
Mm.
And in 1980, whatever, like that was, I guess, like nobody attacked him
Acceptable.
then for it. But today, could Eddie Murphy say that? Absolutely not. Do you think differently of Eddie Murphy because he said that? Definitely not, because in that context, it was, it didn't carry the same weight that it does today. But today that would never fly. But are you gonna get on him? Are you gonna get on Eddie Murphy for something that he said during a stand-up routine 40 years ago? No, because he wouldn't say it today.
Yeah. I also think that a lot of people seem to think that, like you said, like something that he said 40 years ago, we're not saying that what he said was acceptable to
Like
us.
today's
Like, I feel like I
standards.
should clear that up. Like, we're not saying that cancel
Right.
culture is a bad thing.
But like, if you asked Eddie Murphy today, like, would you do that same routine in the way you did it? Like, not like like cracking jokes is cracking jokes in a stand-up routine, but like, would you deliver the routine the same way you did today? He would 1,000% say no. But you can't punish somebody for something that was culturally appropriate at the time. I'm not saying it's right,
Yeah.
but you can't get on Eddie Murphy for that routine 40 years later, because at the time there was nothing wrong with it. But the difference between the Eddie Murphy routine and what Barstool is getting hammered for now is wildly different, because 4 years ago it was not acceptable for that. So, like a couple of them have apologized for it. That they're not off the hook, but like they're not as bad as the guy who's saying like I won't bow down to the mob and apologize for it.
The thing with Barstool is that people that weren't even part of, well, they were part of the rundown, but people that weren't even actively participating in the joke have apologized. And Dave Portnoy, who made the joke himself, has not apologized. That's the weird thing. He didn't even, in his apology afterwards, he apologized for alienating his coworkers, which to a certain extent, yeah, you did. Okay, you apologize for that. But again, he pussyfooted around the fact that he said it. He didn't apologize for it.
When you do comedy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you try to put a funny spin on everything, it's not right, but you are going to miss the mark sometimes. If you tiptoe the line for a reason, eventually you're going to cross it.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
Yeah.
It's how you handle the crossing of it that really determines what people are going to think of you. If you cross the line and say, "I'm sorry, that went too far, it won't happen again," fine. Because, when you tiptoe the line, you are going to cross it. It is what it is. It's how you handle it. And, him crossing the line in that situation was very bad. But if he'd handled it better,
I also think that
we're not having this discussion.
Right. But I also think it's a case-to-case basis, because there's some stuff that you definitely couldn't just apologize for. You know what I mean? Like there's one thing like towing the line with a joke, but if it's like different where, because you see with a lot of cancel culture, I think like the stigma with cancel culture is that it's just people telling jokes and getting canceled for it. But there's other stuff that happens. Like say a video comes out of you 4 years ago. Like something happened with Marky Mark Wahlberg.
Billions of things. Like
Yeah,
oh my
like
god,
him like beating the shit out of
just
someone
yeah,
or like
just
calling someone the F
look at
word.
his
It's like
media page. Like I hate people from Boston. Like we don't claim that. Like
no, you don't claim Marky Mark.
no, like he's a jackass. Like he not just racist stuff. Like he said like a few years ago that if he was on one of the planes on 9/11, he would have stopped it. Like 9/11 wouldn't have happened if Mark
That's
Wahlberg
crazy.
was on those planes. Like
That's
he's a
crazy.
dope. Like he is. Like he's too much. He left the Super Bowl when the Patriots are down like 28-3. He claims it's because his kids were tired, but he just left because he's fake. It's all an act. He,
Well,
when you like pelt like black kids in Boston with
yeah,
rocks or beat the crap out of an Asian guy because he's Asian, or say that you'd stop a plane on 9/11 because that's just who you are, you're just an
a
ass.
bad person. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like going farther
Oh yeah, just
than just
Google Mark
apologizing is
Wahlberg.
applicable there.
Just
Yeah.
look at Mark Wahlberg's Wikipedia page. It's
Yeah.
all there. It's all
Bad.
public. You probably haven't heard about it, but it's all there. It's all there.
It's bad. So that's what I'm saying. Like there are some situations, obviously, where an apology doesn't do it justice or the justice that it deserves. But there are some situations where if the person shows that they have grown and changed, then I think
You
someone should
can't
be
help
allowed. Yeah, they should be given the benefit of that doubt. So, all right. Well, I guess we can end off there. I know we'll get into baseball more next episode.
Yeah, I'll have to give some predictions.
Yeah, yeah. But till next time, guys. Listen, this is a very good episode. I like this episode. Got into a lot of
good discussions had.
great discussions. We actually went an hour this time. So until the next one, guys, I've been your host, Jacob Cooperman.
I'm Jerry Sullivan.
And we will see you guys in the next
We got
episode.
a couple more of these to Iona until we're back in person, so be ready.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about that? We're probably going to get a setup in
Whoa,
which.
whoa. Let's not do anything till we're official.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
We don't start rumors on this podcast.
That's
Pep
right.
Guardiola might be on the hot seat, but we don't start rumors on this podcast. But
all right. Yeah. We'll as it gets closer, we'll have more little sneak peek. All right. See you guys.